distance. Jeremy, do you have any requests? Anything you'd like to hear?
It's just a one-man show. Jeremy, what can we do for you, my friend?
I'll sing melody. Dave does an awfully nice sixth harmony.
I do.
Yeah, he's kind of like a barbershop quartet in a box.
Or at least a 1/4 of a quartet.
Well,
All right.
everybody's 1/4 of a quartet.
That made no sense at all.
Everybody walking down the street is 1/4 of a quartet.
Let's tell a story about ComicLab. So, or not about ComicLab. Yeah, let's tell the story about ComicLab.
Let's tell the story. Let's tell the story about ComicLab. What is the story about ComicLab?
Well, for me, the honest to God truth is, I missed. I don't know that I've told you this. I've missed your laugh. I appreciated the weekly laugh that I had every week doing Webcomics Weekly. It was one of my favorite things. I love talking comics, and I love honestly hearing you laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open the window because it's 1,000 degrees in here.
It's gonna get warmer.
It's gonna get warmer
as I start blowing hot air.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you know what? I agree. That was something Webcomics Weekly I looked forward to every week, and it was always. I always felt lighter after we got done taping a show. You know,
the week's worth of work didn't feel so bad. It felt like fun.
Yeah, I felt
and you were
lightened up.
Didn't you save stories? And I do that now with ComicLab. I save stories for ComicLab to share with Brad. Because if I know that there's one friend that's going to enjoy it, it's Brad, and who will appreciate what I have to do as a cartoonist. So it's super fun.
And something happens, and I'm like, oh God, I've got to tell the and the cold opens that we do are perfect for that.
Yeah.
So something will happen in real life, and I'll be like, okay, that's a cold open.
Right.
You know.
Right. So as we started the show again, we did. I think we did it right this time. We kind of learned from past things. We got the contract between the two of us. And we got the Patreon running pretty quick, and it's been nice to see how it's gratifying to see the response that people have to the show.
Well, and not only that, but and not for nothing, it's almost we started in January of this year, and we have not missed a week. We've just been plugging right away. We've been doing a show every week. In fact, we're several weeks ahead. It's been.
If you guys would like to know election results, we already know. We're a couple weeks ahead.
You don't want to know, but we can tell you.
But anyway, so today was the last day of PatreCon. It's a 3-day conference in LA where Patreon invites patrons from all over the world. There were people from all over the world, right?
Patreon creators.
Mostly, I would say 80-90% US, like 5-10% Canadian, and then a smattering of Europeans and Australians, but pretty rare.
Yeah.
They're pretty rare. But Patreon was nice as a resource. I appreciate that it's done anyway.
Yeah.
That Patreon is realizing that they have to make some resource available to pass along some of this knowledge. Because Patreon has the blog posts, they have all the classes that you can take, and I will be honest, as someone who makes a bulk of their income from Patreon, that I don't take advantage of all those blog posts. So for me, this is a nice intensive 2-day thing.
Well, because a lot of times the blog.
Here. Look at that finger of death. I'll come from this way. How did I get that going again? Oh, geez, Louise. What do I have to tack? How did you make the question come back?
I don't know.
Oh man, old man McGillicuddy.
That's I just tapped.
Oh, geez, Louise. There was a question and we missed it.
I tapped live chat.
Oh, okay. I was an old school Webcomics Weekly fan and incredibly overjoyed when I discovered ComicLab. Thank you. And since I just hit the wrong button, I noticed we can do this. So look aren't we festive?
Wow, that's
cool. I didn't
even know that was an
sweet?
option.
That's nice.
Are those pumpkins?
Those are pumpkins. How about this? Oh, look that's a...
Dios de los Muertos.
Wow, and if you wanted to say that in Spanish, that would be another option. So...
Is that when everybody eats their pico de gallo?
Oh, don't say pico de gallo. Nothing was funnier this weekend than my Cuban wife hearing Brad say pico de gallo. How do I get rid of this nonsense now? All right, there we go. But anyway, so they put on a 3-day festival. Really 2-day, but it's 3 days festival.
Yeah, 2.5.
They invite Patreon creators from all over the world. And what's fascinating, I found anyway, is you'll be sitting at a conference and you're like, hey, what do you do? And then the other person's like, oh, I do outreach for dentists, but using art and music. And you're like, huh, that's a thing. Well, this has been a lovely talk. I'm gonna go now. I'm a cartoonist. This doesn't affect me at all.
Or every now and again, you'll talk to somebody and you'll say, "Oh, here's my comic. It's called Evil Ink," and you'll show it to them, and they'll go,
Yeah, okay. That was the literal response that Brad got. This woman came up, and Brad goes, "Oh yeah, here, let me show you my comic." And she goes, "Yeah, and literally darts off. You can also swipe up to scroll through the. Oh, let's see. All right, so if I swipe up
through the chat.
it's so annoying that I have to.
That's the magic wand. Swipe up through the chat.
Oh, through the chat. Oh, that's not working. Oh, there it is. You have to do it on this side. All right, I'm figuring it out. Thank you. That's very nice of you to teach us how to do that. Anyway, so
we've got a second watcher now. We're up to 2.
Brad, it's 3.
The
hits keep coming.
We got a second now. If on the show they're a question asker, these are video watchers.
So we took pretty copious notes, and we'll be sharing them with you as we go. But if there's any questions specifically about how your own Patreon is going with ComicLab, not ComicLab, with your own comics, you can ask as we go here, and we'll do our best to answer them based on recent things. Some of the most fascinating things I learned is that the highest likelihood for a patron to drop out was in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So if you can get them to last past 3 months, you've got them.
And that also tells you that at the 3-month mark, you need to reach out and contact those people and remind them how much you appreciate their patronage and ask them if they've got any concerns and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
3 month is kind of like the crucial point to check in with a new backer.
And then the other, frankly, it shouldn't have been surprising, but it was surprising. The thing that we learned is they showed the math on $1 backers versus $2 backers.
Oh yeah.
And this is actually worth sharing with everybody. A $1 backer, you just have to trust me on this because I don't have the math in front of me. The churn rate and the percentage of both the credit card hit and Patreon's fees on a $1 backer, it's actually worth it to have slightly less than double or slightly less than half $2 backers. Am I right on my math? So if I have 20 $1 backers, it's worth it to have 8 $2 backers because the fees are less and the churn rate is not as dangerous. Am I right there? No.
Well, I don't know whether you're right, but I do know this. Here's what I took away from that. It said you make so much more money, you do so much better at $2 rather than $1, that you could lose 59% of your $1 backers and you'd still make more money.
That's right. Let's listen to Brad's math, not mine.
I don't know what you were trying to say, but that's what it's like, so people, basically they say you should do $2 instead of $1. And everybody says, I don't want to do that. I'll lose all my $1 backers.
According to Brad, this is what I was trying to say. Math hard, Patreon important. Work on. No, but basically to us, it was like a clear signal that the $1 Patreon level is not worth it. $2 should be your minimum. And that's something we've talked about before. So it's worth re-emphasizing that, I thought.
We're up to 5. 5 video
Brad
watchers.
Brad and I are watching like a hawk how many people are in here because
trying to see if we're
like,
important tonight.
It's like 10 p.m. at night on a Saturday night.
Oh, what time is it on the East Coast?
On the East Coast it's like 1 a.m. Okay, insomnia has paid off tonight. Late night comic streaming with bonus drunk host crate. I wish I was flying straight enough to understand what the hell you guys are talking about. It sounds fascinating. That's delightful.
Flying straight enough. Is that a drug reference?
I'm not sure what that is. This is 2 old men laughing at a comment. But in all honesty, this is a rare occasion where you can ask us direct and live questions, and we will answer honestly and funnily, hopefully, because there's a little wine involved. So,
or like I said, you can, if it's not a question, just ask us. Tell us the story about this, or tell us the story about that.
If you guys want to request questions, listen to me. All right, I'm going to put the wine down for a minute, and I'm going to say if you have a story you want to request about how we met, or how Brad bought this shirt, or why Brad chose this shirt today, or why I chose this shirt. I'm going to turn the abuse to myself because that was harsh.
I'll tell you why I chose it. I will tell
Actually,
you. There is a story.
It's a sweet story why Brad brought this shirt. Tell him about the shoes and the shirt. This is delightful. I'm going to step back.
My shoes?
Bye, everyone. Bye. No.
Because I've been teaching, and I most of my shirts were like T-shirts and sweaters for when it got cold. So I needed some Oxfords, so to put, because I like to wear a tie when I teach.
Oh.
Even though, because I talked to him, I said, "Is there like a dress code?" And she goes, "Brad, this is an art school." And I'm like, well, I still feel like if I'm going to be standing up in front of students, I should be a little bit dressed up. So I had to go out and buy. So I went to Target, because I am a fashion plate.
That's true. When I think of Brad, what I think of is I think of Gianni Versace.
Johnny.
I think of Johnny, as you call him, and I think Brad Geiger. That's what I think.
Brad.
Right. The true story of what Brad said when he landed in Los Angeles, I said, "Well, aren't you looking dapper?" And he said, "I'm going to LA. I'm going to dress up." And my heart grew 6 sizes that day. I thought that was the cutest thing I ever.
I did say that.
You did say that. But what was I going to say about shirts? Oh, this is a funny story. When I first started working at Mattel Toys, and I'm gonna preface this by saying I found out in later months and weeks that Mattel Toys, people are coming to work in shorts and in flip-flops and all that sort of stuff. And I show up to work my first week, tie, press slacks. It's an art environment for all intents and purposes. It's a professional art environment. It happens to be a building of 400 artists that just happen to make hundreds of millions of dollars making toys, but they're all artists. I'm wearing a tie and press slacks, and I get this artist that comes up to me one day and he goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You trying to ruin it for the rest of us? What are you doing? I'm not wearing a tie. Take that tie off." And literally like bullies me, like, "Take that tie off." So that was the mood. It's like, so I quickly learned to wear shorts to work at Mattel. So that's my Mattel story. So I'm gonna flip up real quick because we missed a couple questions here.
I think we got a good question.
All right, question for you both. When was the last time you chickened out on a tough creative decision and regretted it? If you have no regrets, YOLO. And then, what was the term for fashion Walmart New Balance? Oh, that's the other question.
The Costco polo.
The Costco polo. Yes, there have been times. I so rarely get public criticism that when it comes at me, I thumper, for lack of a better phrase. I don't.
Articulate.
What's that?
Articulate. I'm helping.
Yeah, I don't articulate. Yeah, well, more than anything else, I get stuck like a deer in headlights because I'm not used to criticism. Because Sheldon is so low stakes and so family friendly that it's not like someone's going to be, it's not like I'm making a strong political statement or doing anything like that. And then Drive is so future oriented and character oriented that it's hard to get mad about that. It's taking place 400 years in the future in an imaginary political system in a war that doesn't exist between aliens that don't exist. So like, who's going to get mad about that? But every once in a while, I get criticism and it catches me off guard. So that's the honest to God truth. I never handle it well because I don't have enough of a muscle memory about dealing with criticism. How about you?
And you're not thick-skinned. You're kind of a...
Oh, boy, I'm not.
You're a heart on your sleeve kind of guy.
Yeah. And my wife and I are the same way as artists, is that there's a big part of our personalities that wants everyone to like us.
Yeah.
And if 100 people like us, but one person dislikes us, we're going to focus in on that one person. So the long-term question there, or the long-term answer to that very short question is I don't handle criticism well. And so any example I could give you would be me going, nutty professor kind of juggling the ball bearings. And how about you?
So when I first started out wanting to be a cartoonist, I wanted to be a political cartoonist. Those were my heroes.
That's
Doug
so
Marlette
me too. We've talked about this,
all those guys. And I really through the 90s when I was developing in college and so forth, it was all political cartoons.
Yeah.
And by the time I started doing comics, I'd kind of pulled away from that already. But even in the comic, even in both Greystonian and more so in Evil Inc., every now and again a political punchline would present itself.
Right.
And I tend to back away from that because even if I think it's like shooting fish in a barrel, kind of like a political figure that almost nobody takes seriously.
Right. For somebody, it's their sacred cow,
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody that I think, nobody can possibly take this person seriously. It's
like
the other side's sacred cow.
Right.
And the same thing, they could take a shot at somebody that they feel on my side is super much a buffoon, but it's like, oh, you can't take a hit on that guy.
Right.
We're so divided, it's so divisive that I continually back off of making political commentary, and sometimes I think that maybe I'm chickening out, like the question asker said. I feel like I feel like I'm chickening out. It's like, no, I should be able to make a joke about
I will admit that
this.
it's cowardice on my part that I don't take the shot when I see it sometimes. We had a couple more questions come in, so forgive my finger if I'm on the screen here. It says,
Alex is in. See?
well, that's fun. Dave, what was your background for getting into Mattel? Straight illustration or something more like industrial design for mock-ups? That is a great question, and thank you, question asker. And Chris with the question asker, I see you. So I don't know how long a story you want, so I'll make it short. I graduated from Notre Dame, and then
I think that's long enough.
Like I think we can cut that off there. And I'm like, bye everyone, I'm out. All right, bye.
So you graduated from Notre Dame.
And the truth is I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to be a cartoonist. I didn't know how to get there yet. And I was like, I know I need more time. I need to get better. I need to iterate more in drawing. So I was like, well, I'll go to grad school. So I ended up going to England for grad school. And then I come back to LA because my wife had gotten a job in LA. And I was literally looking in classifieds. And they said, looking for a writer with a sense of humor. And it said, we cannot emphasize sense of humor. We cannot emphasize sense of humor enough. It has to be a writer with a sense of humor, young and hungry. And I was like, sense of humor? But like if you saw an ad when you were job hunting and it said sense of humor, and they didn't say what company it was, but it said El Segundo, California. And I was savvy enough to know there's only one major company in El Segundo, California that would need anything approaching a writer, and it was Mattel Toys. So I submitted, went in for a great interview with a guy I still remember named Paul Winter, who was like 19 feet tall. It was like the Ryan North of Mattel Toys. And we had a great laughing conversation where he said, here's the job. You're gonna name toys all day. And you're gonna come up with their stories. And so if you don't have joy in your heart, if you don't have humor, you can't do this job.
Right.
So we hire people based on humor. And so I can already tell from this conversation that you have a great sense of humor, you have the job. And then from there...
You got offered the job on the spot?
Oh yeah, that's happened to me everywhere I go. And
wow, that's tremendous.
I got offered 2 jobs today.
Did you really?
I love this room. I love this room. No, I did not get offered 2 jokes. Let's get this man some more wine. Anyway, no, I did not. This was the only time in my life I was offered a job on the spot. It was a long interview. It was like a 45-minute interview. And then at the end he goes, I think this is perfect. Come in on Monday. And so then from there, God, this is too long a story now. I wanted to be a toy designer, and I got tasked on this thing called Project Platypus, where Mattel took an engineer, a lawyer, a writer, a toy designer, an illustrator, a hair modeler, a colorist, and put them all in a room for 3 months, no controls, infinite stimulus, and said, come up with new toy lines. And we came up with like 4 new toy lines. And they're like, wow, Dave Kellett's really good at this. He can draw, he can write, he can model, like he has a good sense of 3D design. And then, so I ended up doing Project Platypus 3 times because I was so good at it. And they're like, you want to be a toy designer? And I was like, yeah, I do. And so they made me a toy designer. Did I ever tell you this? And so my last year and a half at Mattel, I was actually a toy designer, not a writer. And then Sheldon started taking off, and my wife said, go do that. So I think we have another question.
This was Project Platypus?
Project Platypus. Here comes a joke.
No, I would...
I'm just gonna wait for it.
This is interesting though. Did you know platypuses are venomous, and it's like one of the strongest venoms on the world?
Did you? I'm gonna one up your did you know, as Brad mansplains a platypus to me. Did you know it's on the back foot?
No.
They don't have them on their front feet. It's on the back feet.
The venom?
Yeah. So when they're attacked, the back foot goes ta, and I'm not shitting you. Go look it up. Ta. They do it like Paul Lynde. Ta. So anyway,
it's the platypus equivalent of jazz hands.
It's called Project Platypus because the idea was the platypus was cobbled together from different parts, and so Project Platypus because all these different, like a lawyer, a writer, a sculptor, a hair modeler, a fashion designer, were brought together in one room. Anyway, let's get some more questions. People are chiming in. All right.
Have you considered a question asker pin for your next Patreon pledge drive?
Oh my
Question
goodness.
asker.
Question asker. That's delightful. We should draw just a fun sticker picture of "Are you my question asker?" and it's just Brad going like this. All right, and it just says in a fun font over his head, "Are you my question asker?" Oh, hold on. I'm going to help Brad here for a second. Grandpa's having some trouble with the Google Hangouts. All right, so have you considered question? Okay, loving ComicLab seriously, but Brad, what's going on with surviving creativity? Am I missing stuff?
Well,
Brad, what? Let's put you on the spot.
You're missing new episodes because we're not recording them. Scott, it's the same thing that happened earlier. If we can get everybody's schedules to line up again, we'll probably start recording again.
And it's still live as a Patreon, right? So
Yeah.
It's still,
So you can get old shows, but yeah, hopefully maybe in 2019 we'll be back on track. But there's no new. Oh God! And I was just telling somebody about this. I think it was you. Maybe it was Malik. It doesn't matter who I was telling.
Do you smell burnt toast?
I can't tell a story for shit tonight. So on surviving creativity, I don't know whether you ever listened. I did game shows at the end.
Yeah, they were.
I was now that surviving creativity is done, I'm gonna bring that with me over here, like Johnny Carson brought, Aunt Blabby.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring the game shows.
Oh, great!
The licking of the lips killed me.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So
Hold on. I gotta do Brad's eyes real quick. I go tonight. I go. Hey, can we do Google Hangouts on a phone? And Brad goes like this with the heavy lids. Yes, we can. That's what.
I gotta not drink when you do.
All right.
that.
So go ahead. So you were.
Actually, I can't. Well, I've got the mother of all great game shows that I had done in secret, and that was the week before we missed our first episode.
Yeah.
So I've got in the bag a really good game show that I've never sprung yet.
Oh, well, everyone's dying for it.
Go to the next question.
All right, so hold on. Let's scroll down here. Here we go. This is a good one. Here's from Kim. I relate to Brad so much because I have that same level of gullibility, especially after some wine. All right. That was the type of long story I totally wanted. Great, Kim. That's good. Paul, thanks for chiming in. That's great to see you. Alex Zapata. Dave, you mentioned that Sheldon and Drive are suitable for work. Have you ever wanted to do a more mature comic dealing with serious themes? Brad, let's have you answer that question. Have I ever wanted to do a not suitable for work comic or something dealing with more serious themes? Let's see if he knows. Let's see what his answer is.
No, because would you like to see Dave go beet red right now? I'll say something just a little off color, like a nipple ring. I'll say just a little bit. That's not even really dirty, like codpiece would be.
Yeah.
Or even words that are on the cusp, like just plug. No, he's ridiculously embarrassed by the lightest touch of
the lightest touch. Stop it!
Now he can't stop. No, he couldn't do it. He couldn't hold the pen. That's why he went digital. He had a pencil sharpener. Just the act of putting the pencil in the pencil sharpener, he couldn't do it.
I got a flop sweat. Oh dear.
He had to avert his eyes when he would put the pencil into the electric pencil sharpener.
It's like the sheet with the hole cut in it.
He had to demur. He was like, I can't do this.
No, so a serious question. I have thought about doing, so like Brad at the beginning of this talk, I also started doing editorial cartoons. I think did I ever talk about that on the show?
But probably not.
I started doing 2 comics a week at the San Diego Union Tribune, which is an actual physical paper that used to be of some merit, and I don't know what it is now. Back in the day. So this would have been about 25 years ago. I did 2 comics a week, and Steve Kelly had the other 5, and that was really fun. I like doing editorial cartoons, but I realized that you're swimming in anger.
Yeah.
And
you really are.
You really are. You have to maintain a bile and a vitriol that I just don't have. You know me. I'm a joy-filled person.
You're jolly.
So anyway, but within the last year and a half, I did, for the first time in my adult life, wanted to do a political cartoon, and I so much so that I drew up the characters. I've never showed you these. I'll show you them later. I drew up the characters. I did a template. I did a test strip. I picked fonts because I was going to do it.
Really?
Yeah, I went far, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. I got far though in the process, and then, but anyway, as far as making Sheldon not suitable for work, obviously not. Drive. There's an argument that language and violence, to Brad's point, violence is very not suitable for work, but and yet Americans say it's fine. I do a little bit of violence in Drive because it's about a war, but no. Short version is I probably would not do it. So now let's ask Brad. Brad, would you ever be willing to do a not suitable for work comic? Have you ever thought about that? That maybe you could take your superheroes and have them go to town.
Oh yeah, because they're already in that tight clothing anyway.
Sure. So just a pro tip, something you might want to think about. Let's try another question here. I'm going to flip up here and see what we got. Oh boy, what's all this? Oh no, Brad's phone is doing all sorts of weird things. All right.
That's just my.
One day my match game
my
performance
Pornhub
will be
receipt.
blessed upon the world, says Alex. All right. Why did you wait until after my show? All right. Here we go. Where's the question? Recent ComicLab highlight was Brad offering Dave the opportunity to do a not suitable for work comic. Did you offer me that? You didn't offer me that.
Oh, I think I did. I think I slid it in. You might have been talking.
Don't say slid it in. Flop sweat. Instant flop sweat.
Yeah, I think I offered you to do like a guest spot.
Not for late.
For after dark. Yeah.
All right.
It'll be the first After Dark when it culminates in heavy petting.
It's an After Dark where a lot of just cute woodland creatures are just hopping around, and they're like, "This is not what I paid for it." Well, that's what Dave gave us. That's all we got. There's a witty joke about coffee at the end.
I thought the joke was going to be about nuts since they were squirrels.
All right, here we go.
Will we ever see a Webcomics Weekly reunion?
All 4 originals? No, probably not.
No. Well, you know what? We've been beating around the bush on that for so long.
I think beating around the bush in this context. He can't get off the not suitable for work thing. All right.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I think it had its run, and it had a good run, and we tried like 3 or 4 times, if you look back in the archives, to reboot it.
Yeah.
And with every time that we rebooted it, A, it was increasingly impossible to get all 4 of us together, and then C, just for lack of a better phrase, the spark was gone with all 4 of us. But not for any lost love for the shows that we had done. We just kind of didn't want to do it anymore. So I think that's where it netted out.
Well, take a look at Surviving Creativity. You know, just getting Scott and my schedules to link up started to get hard.
Yeah.
And then, you know, to add in, to try to get Scott, mine, and Dave's to link up would be, by a factor of 10, more difficult. Now try to get Scott's, Dave's, mine, and Chris's to link up again. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, and it got increasingly difficult as 3 of us had kids of smaller ages or varying ages of after school and school activities, and it became a scheduling nightmare. So the short version is the archives are live and delightful, but I don't think we'll do that one again. So I think we have more questions here, if you forgive the giant finger there for a minute. There's so much art on the wall behind you all. Any favorites? Oh, that's from Max Alley.
There's a lot.
By the way, Max Alley. What is that? A real name or is that a screen name? Because
Max Alley.
Max Alley.
Private investigator.
Hello, I'm Max Alley.
It was a dark and stormy night in my office at Max Alley Detectives when she walked in.
I like how that started off as a pirate. It was a dark and stormy night as she walked in. This is Brad is in Los Angeles for those of you that are coming in late for PatreCon and for friendship. But he is sleeping in my studio because I'm a great host, and right below us is Brad's bed. Yeah. So as far as what's in the studio, the coolest one is probably the Watterson piece. Don't you think that one's neat?
Yeah.
But actually, the one that's the oldest and worth the most money is Hogarth that I have from I'm going to get the year wrong, 1769. And it's a first print Hogarth. And I keep it in the closet over there because I don't want any natural light to hit it, because that son of a bitch has lasted 300 years, and I'm not going to be the owner that ruined it after 7 other owners kept it safe.
Swing the camera around.
All right, here we go.
When Dave talks about recording in the closet, it is literally a closet. This door That's the wall. That door is open as far as it's going to go.
So guys, what Brad's doing right now is demonstrating what a door is. That's the door right there. Ding, ding, ding.
And right here's the microphone. He's literally in a closet when he's recording this show.
That's true.
And
but
then I'm coming out.
so this studio is ringed in original art. What's your favorite, having stayed here?
God,
Because
there's so many.
I
Well,
walked in
listen.
the other day and Brad was looking at the original art, and that made me happy. What,
It's fantastic. Well, first of all, do you know you've got one of them hung upside down?
No, which what?
The one in the bathroom's upside down. The plate.
Is it hung upside down?
It's upside down. I was just reading it a minute ago, and it's upside down.
By plate, what he means is I have an old. What year is it? Like 1952. It's a
well,
newspaper
it's got
printing plate.
Yeah, and it's got tumbleweeds, so that's going back.
Oh, you know what probably happened? Because it's in the bathroom. I think the door hit it once, and I was like, I just quickly put it back on the hanger. Because it's metal, you just go clean.
Well, and it's reversed, so it's not easily read.
Right. So anyway, so we've just learned that I'm dyslexic, so that's good. So thank you, Brad, for publicly revealing that.
Yeah, and colorblind.
But anyway, you didn't answer the question. What's your favorite in here?
My favorite in here, I like the Baby Blues one, where he says there's no breakfast cereal, and she says, sit down, I'll be right back. She comes back with a full bowl of cereal, and he says, where did you get it? She says, under the couch cushions. I like that one. The Richard Thomas one, where he lampoons...
Thompson.
What did I say?
Thomas. You said Thomas.
The Richard Thomas one, he's...
You saw out of the peripheral vision.
This one is a nice one.
Yeah.
I like that one an awful lot. And then there's the Mark Trail that I like just
for
reasons.
I have an intentionally ironic, terrible Mark Trail hanging up on the ceiling there. And then I love this Bringing Up Father from 19... Do you have your glasses on? What year is that? 1930...
9/6.
1943. It's a Mark Bring Up Father from 1943, and it's very pretty. That's actually one of my favorite art pieces in the room.
And there's a John, as far as for pure art, there's a John Byrne.
Oh yeah, that one right
gorgeous.
there is a John Byrne, and that's really, it's not as like one of his better books, but the page is still fun to look at because he's such. We were looking at the craftsmanship of it. And it's fun to just have I'm sure as many of you do. It's fun to just have a workspace that has one or two pieces of art that inspires you, and it's fun to look around and go like, oh, that's how Bone is drawn, or that's how Foxtrot is drawn, or Kathy is drawn.
Well, and there's a Jeff Keane down there, and it's so nice to see his work in a rectangle for once.
All right, let's check the questions. All right, let's see what we got here. We're behind a little bit. There's so much art on the wall behind you. Anyway, thank you, Max, for that question.
That one.
Yeah, all right. Will we ever see? Yep.
Do you guys about my art again?
Do you guys still pull all-nighters in order to get work done? We were talking about that tonight with Keith Knight. So we had dinner tonight with Keith Knight, Dave Malky, and Danielle Corsetto in downtown LA. And we were talking with Keith about how we all have gotten a little too old to pull all-nighters.
Yeah.
Although, if you were in LA for 24-hour Comics Day, I would do it with you and just draw our asses off for
maybe
probably 20 hours of it. You know?
Once a year, I might.
Once a year, I would do it. But I would need a friend to do it with. I couldn't do it by myself.
No, and it's really not a good idea. It's not a good idea to get into the habit of doing all-nighters. Although, having said that, while we were all talking at the dinner table this evening, I was thinking when I quit my day job and I started to get on top of things,
right,
I would start coming to bed before midnight for the first time in like well over 10 years. And I felt the need to apologize to my wife every time I came to bed before midnight.
Yeah.
And I'd say, oh, sorry, I'm just beat. I can't go any further. And after, a few weeks of this, she says, why do you always apologize when you come to bed? You come to bed. You're allowed to go to bed. And I'm like, I felt like I was giving up.
Oh, like you were,
Like I felt like I'm not working hard enough.
See, I thought you were going to say, why do you always apologize when you come to bed? And you were going to say, have you
Same
seen
old
me?
reason.
Have you seen me? I don't know.
Same reason I apologize after I've been in bed.
Anyway, all right, next question.
There goes Dave
After
again.
that, now that I'm blushing. All right, here we go. Oh, we have a lot of questions coming in now. Okay. Pirate Noir, I'd read it. Weren't you guys supposed to make 15 or 10 year business plans for each other, or am I making this stuff up?
Pass.
Well, no, we're gonna do that.
We'll get back to that.
And the best time to do that is between Christmas and New Year's. Honest to God, because
Yes.
you immediately start thinking about the New Year.
Yes.
We're gonna do that, and we're gonna make that part of a show. So thank you for reminding us, John. Max says, "Yep, that is his real name."
Whose real name?
Max Alley, as you said, I'm Max Alley, door to door. Well, and then it became
Max Alley.
that became a leprechaun.
That became Popeye.
I know.
Hey, Max Alley. Give me some spinach.
All right, so here's the next question. Let's see. Wait, how do we get to it? Are there any books, films you're reading and enjoying in your precious downtime?
Yeah.
Brad Geiger.
Because I had a flight over, I've been making my way through the Dresden Files, which is a really, really neat series. I don't know whether we've ever talked about this. Corey Cassoni turned me on to it. It's a wizard who's a private detective.
Oh, that's fun.
And the world building is really, really solid. It's really good world building. And I was listening to the book on tape when I was driving Maxwell, my son, to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a long drive. So we listened to the entire book on the drive down and back of book 3, where the story, where his writing really hits its stride in book 3.
Right.
So now on the way over and probably finishing it on the way back, I'm up to book 4 and just very much enjoying it. I'm really watching his Jim Butcher is the author. Watching his world building take shape makes me realize how far I have to go as a storyteller yet.
Yeah.
But it's like this guy is working at a whole nother level than me.
When you see parts click into place and you're like, oh, wow, he had that plan for 600 pages.
Exactly. How about you? What are you reading?
So, for light fare reading, I'm oddly enough reading a comic strip called Sherman's Lagoon. Have you ever read that?
Yeah.
I find boy, that was so dismissive. Oh yeah, I'm read.
Here I am reading, high art.
And I go high and lowest. That's what I'm reading.
I've got a coloring book in the back.
And then from Image, I'm enjoying. I always say it wrong. It's either Black Science or Dark Science. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, Black Dark Science.
Anyway, I'm enjoying that one. I find.
So you're reading a lot of comics.
Not
a lot of prose.
I'm actually not reading a ton right now, which is why I'm reading lighter fare. Like I'm thinking as of today with Patreon that I'm going to start an online book club, and I think that might be a fun idea.
Pitch it to him.
Oh, okay. Well, I can pitch
I'll jump all over it.
So I was thinking with my Patreon backers for Drive and Sheldon, which just to let Brad know, those are the 2 strips that I do.
With the
yeah, right.
Chicken.
So I was thinking with my Patreon backers, I would do a book club, and we would reread Lord of the Rings, 1 chapter a week, and at the end of every week, I would do a video about that chapter and what I thought Tolkien was doing and what I thought the story did right and did wrong in that chapter, the funny aspects. And so I'm thinking about doing that. And so by all means, if you guys have questions or comments on that of like, that's a terrible idea or that's a fun idea.
What level would you put it at?
Any level. I want
$2,
to do it,
$5.
I want to do it as, hey, if you enjoy Sheldon, if you enjoy Drive, and I know there's a big Venn diagram crossover of people that also enjoy Tolkien in there, come join me on this book club. We're going to reread Lord of the Rings.
So here's the question that needs to be answered. Listening right now, we're into double digits.
Oh boy.
$2. If you're not currently a backer, would it encourage you to become a $2 backer of Dave Kellett to be in the book club? We're not going to hold you to it, but
I'm going to hold you to it. Yeah. I'm going to follow all the names that say yes or no.
Yeah, it's a good way to get on a mailing list. But yeah, he's and there's Tyler. Tyler Mann is one of our Patreon backers. Hello, Tyler. But yeah, I'd like to just know if you. Oh, I was thinking about this just the other day. That's where it all started.
What's
the
that?
The Blank Label Comics podcast. You and Chris.
Oh, that was a fun one to do.
That's where everything started, and I still remember getting the MP3 of that first show that you guys did, and
thinking it was fun.
Oh my God, thinking it was brilliant.
That was like the proto Webcomics Weekly, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was before all of it.
Yeah. It was just Chris and I talking comics. It was super fun. Yeah, I mean, if Chris ever wanted to do a podcast again, I would drop you like a stone.
Yes, I'm aware.
No, it was super fun. For those of you that don't know, this was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I would
because
think.
more than 10 because it predates the How to Make Webcomics book, which came out in
Oh my
January
God,
of
that's
2008.
right. So it's probably like 12 or 13 years ago. So
Yeah.
the very fact that someone remembered that, well, look at how big my hand is. The very fact
Yeah.
that someone remembered that speaks to your level of fandom. That's great. Yeah, so Chris and I did a podcast called Blank Label Comics Podcast. Very fun. It was a podcast to Webcomics Weekly, and I miss it too. So thank you for remembering that.
Such a great... and you
I'm
guys did a theme song, didn't you?
Oh, it was a great theme song. I'm not going to sing it. I see you setting me up. So here's another question from John. It is still a great resource to have. I still listen to Daily Affirmations and Scott and Chris Power Hour every once in a while.
That's a different show.
Those were very funny, though. I appreciated those.
Yeah.
If they made a buddy cop movie about you two, which actors would you choose to play yourself? This is from Alex.
Boy.
So for me, I would say...
What do you think? Maybe Danny DeVito?
Oh.
Paul Giamatti?
Well, those are choices. Those are choices. You're sweating. You're sweating from that joke. That joke just made you sweat. Never let him see you sweat, Brad. No, I was trying to think of, or I was thinking like Orlando Bloom to play me. And then I don't know if Lucasfilm still has the original latex Jabba the Hutt. But if they could bust that out for Brad, I think that would be beautiful. Just Orlando Bloom beautifully running into a room, and then Brad would say something like, Jabba no Wookie. Something lovely that Brad would say. I think that would be great. All right, let's see what other questions we have. That was it. Boy, that went nowhere. All-nighters post-college have become a terrible return on investment. Not worth it, says Kim. I think she's right.
I think she's
There's a diminishing return. One of the best ComicLab episodes was the Gloria C.K., humble request for a return. Oh, Gloria C.K., my wife. I thought I was reading it like Louis C.K.
Yeah,
I've never
I know
seen
what
it
you were
written
doing.
C.K. Gloria C.K. I don't know. Gloria is by far way more talented than I am, so it was a delight to have her on. Are you out of wine?
Yeah, but I'm
Oh
gonna
my
switch to
goodness.
water because this is how I got so blasted at Drunk Comic Lab. You sit there and you're talking, you just sip, 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 and I went through an entire,
Yeah.
bottle of whiskey. So I'm gonna switch to water now, even though it doesn't look as classy.
All
Because
right,
that's
that-
how I got blasted.
That's fine. That's fine. You guys should have seen Brad last night. Living it up with wine. We've last saw each other 2 years ago though, so it's not like we do this very often. I don't have long, but I wanted to thank you both for being such hardworking, creative individuals. Thanks, Mom. And wait, hold on. What happened? What did I do?
Cancel.
No, hold on. I wanted to read the rest of that. I want to thank you both for being such hardworking, creative individuals and for being so kind, positive, and generous people. Thank you, Feathers. That's very nice of you. Eep, the helicopters are coming. Oh, was there something in the background? It is Los Angeles, so there's Tyler. Tyler saying hello. Black Science. Thank you,
Black
John.
Science.
Did Dave ever share an image of his calendar back there? It looks like it could help as a starting point from other creators who lack motivation some days, i.e. this guy.
As a
Yes.
matter of fact, it was a Patreon post.
Yeah, it was a Patreon post,
Was
Tyler.
it?
You're going to have to go back probably about 2 months, maybe 3. If you scroll back, I wish there was a way to link it to you very quickly. We are now, coming out of PatreonCon this weekend, we're going to create an evergreen post that we will post both on via the tags and probably once a month on the first day of the month. That'll have all the strongest bits of information, all the must-read links or the how-tos that we can share.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make that better based on what we learned this weekend at Patreon. So we can put that post. That's the magnet board right there. Brad, do you want to show them how it works?
Oh man, this magnet board, forget about it.
All right, you've seen Brad Geiger on the podcast. You've seen Brad Geiger. Here he is moving magnets.
Magnetized. But he's got like one right here for Jim. Now you notice how hard that was to pull off. That's because if you have something magnetized on a board for a long time, it forms like a cohesive bond.
Wow.
So it was a little bit tough getting that off.
Wow.
But that was for Jim.
Wow.
And
Wow.
if it doesn't get done here, you can push it over to another day.
Yep.
Which is why a bunch of these things are stacked over here on Saturday. Now, if you do it, you've got these little pieces here, these little...
They're kind of like life game
yellow
pieces.
Yeah, they're yellow. And then you could put it right there. Now that'll be about the first time that's been on top of that one. But you can cross things off your list that way.
Yep.
Just take a look at how nice that looks on the Jim.
Oh, where Jim has a done marker on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
You've seen that before.
Oh, what a delightful son of a bitch. Anyway, do come to LA again. It was lovely having you. It was lovely having you.
I just got the booth barnacle push.
Anyway, thanks for coming by the booth. Enjoy San Diego Comic-Con. Oh God, I literally almost tossed you. Real quick, I'm going to show you guys how Brad taught me this move. Let's shake with left-handed so I can shake left-handed. So. Anyway, thanks so much for coming. It's lovely to see you guys. I mean, you give a pull and a little bit of a push, and that's Brad's patented. I'm going to look for
use that today.
All right, so here we go. Alex says Matt Damon as Dave. Oh, there's a funny story about this.
Matt Damon would make a good Dave, I do have to say.
So Alex, I do have an amazing story about this. So my wife and I, this is when we first moved to LA, and I was younger and the ravages of time had not taken hold of me yet. But I got out of my 1986 brown two-door Buick Regal. It was a POS, right? I mean, it was nobody famous was driving this car. And a woman comes up to me, takes my hands like, I don't want to interrupt you and your date. I just wanted to say, we saw your movie last night on TBS. We loved your work. You're doing a great job. And Gloria was like, what movie was on TBS last night? So we go home and look it up. It was a Matt Damon movie. So that's why I thank you, Alex, because a younger me would have
Is that Evil Ink colorist Alex Heberling?
That is.
She says that Matt Damon could play you. What does Evil Ink colorist Alex Heberling say could play Brad?
I think we all agree Jabba.
I haven't seen her weigh in on this yet.
I think, who was the little guy that sat next to Jabba and went,
Did he ever have a name?
Yeah, his name was like, not Snickerdoodles, but it was something that was like Sly Snoodles? No. Was it Sly Snoodles? No, Sly Snoodles was the guy that did. Anyway, this has been fun. Thank God I'm married. All right, so, let's see. So, second vote for Gloria's return. Oh, thank you. I see Tim Robin. Oh, for Brad?
Tim Robin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I usually get Tim Rice, but Tim Robin's good too.
No, but Tim Robin, like maybe after a car accident or something. All right, Chris has 2 or 3 great albums. Brad Geiger Stole My Car is amazing. Oh, yes, that is amazing, yeah. I see Steve Amell.
Steve Amell.
Who's Steve Amell? What?
I'm trying to come up with the most grotesque thing I can, and I've got nothing. I know you've seen Steve Amell in things. Oh, he was the Green Arrow.
Oh, the Green Arrow.
Yeah.
So to play Brad. Oh, that's a good compliment for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought that was you, but I'll take Steve Amell.
All right.
He's a good guy.
Was the guy that played the Elephant Man, was that an actor or was that? Because I'm just thinking if he's still working.
What else would he be doing?
I love the support we give each other as friends. This must be what it was like to be between shoots in the 60s Batman show and the villain characters kicked back and swapped war stories. Right now you're seeing stage 1 of a Paul Masson commercial right now. The French. Does Patreon have a way to pin posts to the top of your feed? That is a great question. I don't know. Ask a follow-up question about that, like why you would want that, and we'll let you know.
Because you wouldn't want
that. Oh, he might be asking in reference to the Evergreen post that we were suggesting.
Yeah.
That might be it. James Corden could be an amazing Dave. Dave, I was born in 1986.
She's avoiding
Brad could fuck his whole week with one move. I'm not sure what. I don't remember. Oh, Salacious Crumb.
Oh, I could fuck your whole week with one move.
Oh yeah.
By sweeping the magnets out.
What a shame about your week, Dave. Yeah, exactly. Our Salacious Crumb. Tyler had that.
Salacious Crumb.
All right. Off Feathers says, before I go, Dave, I'm dying to know. Would you rather fight a Nosh-sized Arthur or 100 Arthur-sized Noshes? I've thought long and hard about that. I'm so glad you've asked me. I would rather fight 100 Arthur-sized Noshes because individually you take them on one at a time. Sure, you take a few lumps, but as long as you keep to your feet, I'm gonna teach you Brad a little bit about wrestling.
Okay.
As long as you it's like WWF.
Oh yeah, the lovely Elizabeth. Oh yeah.
You did that a little bit too good.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. All right. What was the next question?
How was Patreon? How was Patreon? But I think we're going to be talking about that during the show.
Yeah, we should.
We
we'll,
could give
we'll
a couple of broad strokes on it.
Yes. Okay. This could make a whole big chunk of a show, so we shouldn't waste it. But Brad and I are just old enough and established enough and cynical enough where we went to Patreon wanting actionable, like here's the data, here's 20 things you can do with the data, here's 9 things you can do right now to either up your audience or reach out or support them better or to say thank you better, or here's a better way to work more efficiently. We wanted like actionable things. And a little bit of Patreon, a little bit more than we wanted anyway, was like, hey, you're in your 20s and it's hard to be an artist. Here's a talk that's basically an emotional hug, which is lovely and has its place in the world. But we were more of the opinion of like, now we wanted business stuff and actionable stuff.
I wanted to know how to use the data to make better decisions and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was a lot of, we're all in this together. And here was my story about how I came to be
an artist
person.
Yeah.
And there was I don't want to go too far down this road, but there was more than one person who said, oh yeah, and I just signed up to Patreon last week. And it's like, get off the stage.
Yeah. So we were, and that might be unfortunately a little bit us being too old, too cynical of like, because I think for a lot of younger artists in the room, they were like, oh, I'm not alone. Whereas we as web cartoonists have had a better support network, broadly speaking, and that's been helpful to us. So we've had that to be able to tap into, I think.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway. All right, let's see another question here. Let's see. Is there anything you can do to make your comic pitch stand out from others if you're, say, pitching to Image? Ooh,
Listen.
Oh, here we go. I gotta know that tone.
If your comic is good, all your pitch needs to be is, here's my comic, right?
Yeah, I think.
And by the way, I'm assuming a comic pitch involves you sending at least a couple pages of samples.
Yeah, I think.
And I could be wrong because I'm telling you, I'm an independent. I've never pitched to a publisher, so I may be expressing my own ignorance here.
Yeah, I would. Anything to make it stand out. I think, for one thing, don't do anything goofy and weird and unusual. I have talked to enough editors where they're like, there was once a comic about a plumber and the submission was taped to a toilet seat. And they're like, what are we doing with that? And what are we doing here? Like, be a professional and just submit the. And so I would often say, just based on job resumes that I reviewed for hiring and stuff, that like brevity, clarity, really go over it a couple times. Have a bunch of people read it in your life so that it's absolutely clear what you're trying to get across. Short synopsis, short character things. Keep it all short. Like, they read 1,000 of these things, so either the idea works or it doesn't. What do you think?
What do you think of the meets kind of pitch? In other words, it's like Logan's Run meets Steel Magnolias. Those kind of pitches where this meets that.
I know it's hacky, but at least gives you a point of reference. I think. It would work for me, so I don't know.
I'd actually watch Logan's Run meets Steel Magnolias.
I would watch Logan's Run meets Fried Green Tomatoes, but I wouldn't watch Steel Magnolias.
Oh, well, okay.
I think fried green tomatoes.
I get it.
There may be a topic for a show. How is Patreon? Oh, we already got that one. Yes, pinning an evergreen post. That's why I was asking. But I guess all that could go in your main page description. Yes. So to answer that question in that specific way, what we were thinking was we would do the evergreen post that would be reposted every first of the month, and then it would be top corner tagged post, of which there would only be one. So
it would be a feature tag.
Yeah, of which there'd be only one using that feature tag.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I see what you're going at too. So yeah, we'll figure out a way to make that work. This might fit under 5 to 10 year goals, but do you have any unfulfilled creative business goals at this point in your careers? From the outside, it seems like you're living the dream. Well, why did I read that sarcastically? What is it? It seems like you're living the dream.
I'd still like a shot at like TV animation.
Would you?
Even yeah.
Why?
I don't know, because it seems like it would be fun.
Okay, that's fair.
I look at.
I think that I'm judgy about your dream. That's a stupid dream.
I look at
kicking sand on you.
We were just having dinner with Keith Knight, and he just signed that deal with Hulu, which is super exciting. And it just looks like it would be.
Wait, can we announce that? I don't know.
What's that?
Can we announce that?
Oh yeah, it was on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the announcement's been made.
Okay.
But I look at that and it's like, oh, that would be a really fun. That would be fun waters to navigate.
TV, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's because I see my wife up close with it that I don't want to navigate
Not
those
at all,
waters.
huh?
No. Like, she's always like, you don't want to write for TV? And I'm like, no desire to write for TV. That being said, when Drive is done or near done, I'm absolutely pitching it.
Are you?
As a series, yeah. And I know, roughly speaking, who I want to take it to pitch it. But that's not for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
So I'm in my 50s by that point, probably. But, so I do want to eventually sell Drive to be, I think, live action. I don't think I want it animated and as a series. Because I think if they can do what they did with the season finale of Game of Thrones now expensively, in 5 years that'll be significantly less expensive and more doable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the Drive special effects will be TV ready. Anyway, so I want to do that. I also want to make 1 or 2 more filmed things about comics. I like making stripped.
Yeah.
And so I have about 3 or 4 ideas of which I could share with you, but 3 or 4 more ideas about filmed comic content, some of which are very short form, some of which are medium form. Not film for a while, I don't think. Although I do want to do a stripped follow-up, like 20 years from
Really?
now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, stripped. Yeah, a 20-year.
A 20-year later,
look
like
back.
Yeah, and like we'll talk to the kids that are doing holographic comics and like
Yeah.
VR comics and augmented reality comics. But I think it would be fun that the people that were young and stripped are now the older, fatter ones.
And see how their opinions have changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But now they're the whippersnappers that are yelling
Yep.
at the whippersnappers. So, but as far as comics, I want to finish Drive. Sheldon. I might want to do that auto-bio comic at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the project that I was
we
pitching
talked
you on
about
this
that
weekend.
a while ago.
Yeah, the project I was pitching you on this weekend, that's the slow burn. I
Yeah.
kind of want to work on that one. So yes, but what else besides animation? What else in your cartooning do you specifically want to do?
I don't know. Well, I think at some point I'm going to bring Evil Inc. to a close. When it reaches a culmination, maybe in a year or two, it's gonna come to. Especially now that I'm doing kind of like a sitcom template, and I'm looking at this more like an episodic thing than a comic strip.
I did not know this.
Yeah, probably it's probably gonna happen.
What are you going to do with After Dark?
Transform it into whatever the next thing is.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's significant.
yeah. Well, and there'll be a comic after Evil Inc. And then whatever that is going to be the new.
That's kind of what I've done with Sheldon and Drive. You kind of slowly transition out of one
and like
to the other.
already After Dark is about 70% Evil Inc. proper and
And then sometimes
30%
Space
just
Pirates
idea.
or-
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Just stuff that I had in my
Halloween
fevered
Stories,
imagination.
Space Pirates,
yeah.
yeah.
So it'll just be the next thing.
But as far as you very kindly said, living the dream, and I do feel, I don't want to diminish that because I do feel very lucky and very blessed that I get to be a cartoonist, and I'm really thankful to the people that read me. And
Oh, yeah.
there's still days that I wake up surprised that people are willing to read my stuff, and it's lovely. It's lovely.
And it never ceases to amaze me because I've always got that. For me, it's like a milestone date of April 2012 when I quit my day job.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, oh my gosh, it's been like over 5 years. It's been over 6 years. It's going to be 7 years soon that I haven't screwed it up. It hasn't fallen apart.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me that this thing gets to keep building and stuff. So yeah, you're right. It's exactly the dream that I had when I was 12 years old. This is better than anything I could have dreamed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat that we get to do it.
I will modify you a tiny bit in saying the dream, knowing you like I do, the dream that we had when we were 12 was to be Charles Schultz. I wanted not only to be a cartoonist, didn't necessarily want money, but I wanted that level of readership that frankly no longer exists. And so 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, whenever I came to peace with the fact that I could make a lovely, happy living with an infinitely smaller audience, once I came to peace with that, then my dreams were not revealed, they were achieved. Because no one's going to be Charles Schultz anymore. No one's going to be Burke Breathitt at his prime anymore.
Yeah.
A few people may be online, but I'm very happy and very lucky with where I am. So.
But even those people online, if you want to compare him to Charles Schultz, his career spanned decades. And you can't say that about anybody online.
Not yet, yeah.
Well, is anybody who was popular in 2000 still popular today? Like, do we even have somebody that's reached the... Scott Kurtz and maybe, people in that strata are close?
Scott's probably one of the few, yeah.
But there's... And even including...
Like Sluggy
wider.
Freelance, I'm trying to think of what was going on in 2000... I mean,
There's not a lot of people that can lay claim to that.
I was online 98, 99, but I was nothing. It was like 100 people, 500 people reading me. Like, it was nothing. So, anyway, let's do some questions. That was enough of that. All right. You guys are just as delightful to watch as you are to listen to. Thanks. Have a great night. Oh, thanks, Feathers.
Sleep well.
Did you do this?
Yeah.
Sleep well. He did the hand close. Sleep well. I'm Brad Geiger. Sleep well. So I don't know why that's making me laugh. Sleep well, Brad. Hey, Brad. Sleep well. God, it's like a creepy old man. Sleep well. Hi. Sleep well. 5-10-year goals. Oh, we did that one. Cheers, you guys. Your podcast Patreon is one of my staples. So much generous advice. Second, the voices of appreciation above. Thank you, Paul. That's really nice of you. And Paul, you know what? Sleep well. Sleep well, Paul. Sleep well. I keep hitting that weird button.
You did it again.
Dave, you do Orson Welles declaring "Living the Dream." Oh, yeah. Hold on. No, living the dream. There is a winemaker in California. It goes by the name of Parmesan. It's fermented in the bottle.
Fermented in the bottle.
Fermented in the bottle.
Did you read that?
Oh my God.
Somebody wrote this whole thing about how dumb we were because all champagnes are fermented in the bottle. And we were making fun of it, but it's like clearly Brad and Dave don't know anything about champagne because they would know that all champagnes are fermented in the bottle.
Well, the truth there is that champagne is almost universally acknowledged as a piss drink. It's terrible. It's a terrible drink.
I always thought...
Champagne is gross. It's not. Wine is amazing and effervescent and delightful and has flavors and tenors and tones. Champagne is like, hey, let's throw some bubbles in this shit. There you go. You like urine with bubbles in it? Hey, Jimmy, bring some more of them bubbles in for this urine. Hey, Mazel Tov, it's the wedding. Great. This tastes terrible.
I always thought I was the only one. I don't like the taste of champagne.
Champagne's terrible. No one likes champagne. There's a reason we only serve it like once a year. It's like, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Nobody
Get some
can
champagne.
stomach it.
No one wants it. No one's like running to the champagne store.
No, that's a good point. I like putting, now everybody does a mimosa where you put the orange juice in it.
And what happens there, go ahead, you finish.
Next Christmas, I want you to try this. Take some cranberry juice and put it in. That's called a poinsettia.
I thought that was called a Cape Cod. Oh no, a Cape Cod is with vodka. Whatever.
Yeah, but put some, not the true cranberry, a cranberry juice cocktail, the sweetened. Put that into your...
Where's this going? Is this a joke? Is this a
No,
joke?
but try it. It's good.
Wow. All right. Well, let's do one more question. Anybody got one more question? What do you think? Should we do one more question for who we got? Let's see what we got here.
One more question. How do you
poinsettia? How do you? All right. There's no questions in that. So the next person asks a question.
Are you almost ready for bifocals?
Wow.
No, I'm serious. I am. I'm supposed to have bifocals, but I said I'm not. Because I would use the bottom part for drawing. And I'm like, I spend most of my day drawing, and I'm not gonna spend all my day looking like this. So I said, give me normal glasses and give me reading glasses, and I'll just switch them out. But I'm supposed to have bifocals. Are you in the same zone?
No. But I will say this, though, having spent the weekend with Brad at PatreCon, it is delightful to have things at various distances from Brad, because here's what ends up happening. Hey, Brad, did you see this thing? What? What? Wait. Yep, that's a nice color on. Wait, what am I looking at? Oh, that's a pig. Look at him. That's amazing. All right, here we go. Last question. Here's the last question for the night.
Soused. No.
Oh wait, there's a few questions. Oh, darn it.
Compared to drunk ComicLab, I am sober enough to drive. Although I wouldn't drive. But yeah.
Here it is. Here goes the question. So it's 1 a.m. again in New York, but I'm not as awake as I was, and the first time it was 1 a.m. Before I go,
Oh, it's daylight savings time.
Oh, that's daylight savings. Before I go, I just want. Oh, mother of pearl! What did I do? Don't give me technology. Before I go, I just wanted to tell you how much I've enjoyed Comic Lab and the friendship and laughter you give. Hey, Christian, thank you. That's really nice of you.
And Alex suitably said that for me, George Clooney. See, I knew she'd come through for me. That's why I love her like I do.
I want to say, Alex, that I think it's admirable that you are able to color despite your blindness. I think that's great. I think God bless you for working through that handicap that you think.
George Clooney.
George Clooney. Okay.
No, not Rosemary. She's dead.
That's what I thought. Oh, Rosemary Clooney in her prime? No, right now. We'll get her to play Brad. We'll get her to
put her up on a shelf.
It's just like Weekend at Bernie's with Rosemary Clooney. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, all right, Alex is telling us to be nice. So are there no final questions for the night? We can't round out the night with one final question before I make one more shot at Brad?
One big question.
All right. I would have said a younger De Niro for Brad. That's true.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you talking to me?
Oh. I'm just gonna slowly back away. Do you remember
that
when?
Thing in his face always distracts
Do you remember
me.
when De Niro put on, what was it, like 150 pounds for Raging Bull?
Yeah. What?
I too agree that De Niro would play a wonderful Brad Geiger.
Stella.
Stella. That's amazing. All right, here we go. I would have said, okay, you guys are a riot every Saturday night. Thank you, Chris. Chris, ask a question. We want to end this with a question. Well, okay, here we go. What would be the plot? Okay, here we go. This seems like a fun question. What would be the plot for a Comic Lab movie? There's got to be a caper involved. Oh, okay, here we go. Someone stole Brad's Cintiq, and we have to race across town to get the criminal because it also has files that Brad shouldn't have had on that computer.
That's a nice thing about doing After Dark. All the stuff that's on my computer, I can say, oh yeah, that was reference. No, it would be like Cannonball Run. And it would be all the web cartoonists trying to get to like Comic-Con first.
That's
and
delightful. And you'd see the different ways they're trying to get across. Yeah. Like Jeff Jax is going by bus and Dave Malky's going by RV and we're going by boat or something. Yeah. No, it's a billionaire who's been reading comics online for decades. He's like, first one and get down to Panama.
Now you're talking mad world.
Yeah,
right.
That's great.
He's buried it under the W.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And this
is one of those ideas though, where like after 3 glasses of wine, you're like, this is great. Somebody write this down. Write this down, and then tomorrow we're gonna watch this and be like, oh God, what? Oh, there's an idea. All right, someone asked one more question here. Any words of encouragement for those of us doing the comic thing in our spare time around work and daily life? All right, so yes. Brad, first of all, know that Brad and I did that very thing for 10 years.
Yeah.
Where we did it spare time, weekends, lunch hours, wherever we could find time. And more than anything else, if you are finding joy from your comics, that's one of the greatest and most fulfilling things that you could have in your life. When you create art and find joy in doing it and find joy in sharing it. So that alone is a wonderful thing. There are so many people that wish they could do what you do in terms of drawing and writing and drawing and creating a comic. So that in itself is a wonderful thing. And then there is nothing wrong in having a goal that is slightly out of reach because first of all, we all have that. And second of all, what a wonderful thing to know what you want to be in life.
Yeah.
Because I have so many friends in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, they still don't know what they want to do. And you want to be a cartoonist. And there is joy in that too, in the surety of knowing what that is, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And then also, if it takes you a year, if it takes you 10 years, if it takes you 20 years, in the end, who cares if you can enjoy the journey along the way. And then if you can get there in your 70s, who cares? It's a delightful road to walk, to be a cartoonist.
I think the mistake that a lot of web cartoonists make, I think that it was the same mistake I made. Because I talked about this on the show. I wanted to be a full-time web cartoonist. Yeah. I had to be a full-time web cartoonist. And on the day I quit my day job, I woke up the next morning and nothing had changed except I wasn't going to have that automatic paycheck hit my bank account. And I think what you have to do is take the focus off of when am I going to be a success, and realize that your success is enjoying this moment right now.
Right.
And that sounds really platitudey, and it sounds kind of fake, but it really is the truth. Is that like right now you're like, oh, I've got to fit it in this time. No, you get to fit it in this time.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
difference. Not
Yeah.
I gotta, but I get to.
I get to. And here's a real world from today example of that. I said, Brad, what are your next steps? What are you planning on next? And he was telling me about a project that he wants to start. And he said, After Dark is the financial surety that I have that enables me to create this other thing, which might fail, might succeed,
Right.
might stumble along the way. He doesn't know. But in a way, your day job is the surety that you have that allows you to create. So in a way, you're not different from Brad or I in that we all need some base level of surety, income, support, consistency, and then you create on top of that. And so for you, it's a day job. For Brad, it's one title that's already hitting and he wants to do another one. But it's still, we're still reaching as artists, just
Right.
like you are. And so just keep doing. And as Brad always says, if you draw every day, you cannot get worse at it. You will be getting better and better the more you iterate. So
Yeah, and take the focus off of when will I be official, or take the focus off of when will I be, and just enjoy what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Just enjoy this moment. This is a good moment. We it was so funny. We were talking to a guy whose kid is younger, and he's going through that point in fatherhood where he's got a young kid and he's trying to do a creative life and have this kid. And Dave and I are both smiling because our kids are a little bit older, and we can see, it's like, oh my God, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, as difficult as those days were, those were also good days too.
they were good days too.
I look back on the time that I spent where literally there were entire years that I kind of saw my wife for 10 minutes a day.
Yeah, where you you give a little kiss on the cheek as you fall asleep, like,
Yeah.
and your ship's passing in the night because one of you is on one nighttime shift, one of you is on one daytime shift. But for the darker moments, just know that this too will pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we all have those dark nights of the soul. And sorry, I cut
This
you off,
too
but-
will pass, and you're gonna look back on them, and you're gonna say, it wasn't so bad.
Right.
Those were some good days. had some
I
good
still love,
times.
speaking of, to bring this full arc on my Mattel days, I have fond memories of working on Sheldon on my knees in my car during the lunch hour in the parking lot because I knew that I wouldn't have time to work on it that night at home. And this was back when I was, by God, going to do a Sheldon every day.
Right.
So anyway, so like Brad said, those will be fond memories. And I think
Yeah.
unfortunately another question came in while we were saying that. Any words of encouragement? We got that one. Thank you so much for hanging out and
Comic
giving
Ball
us
Run.
a Comic Ball
One
Run.
person said our day thing should be called Comic Ball Run.
That's funny,
beautiful.
Comic Ball Run. That's great. Thank you so much for hanging out and giving us some laughs tonight. Thank you very much for that. This was great. I hope you guys do it again. Thank you, Hal. And then John says, I'm the art teacher who's been chasing a finished project for 20. Oh, thanks,
that was
John.
during the beginning of the year.
Yeah, thanks, John,
We got to relink with him.
You guys answered my question I'm missing the question. You guys answered my question a few months back. I'm still on the right track, and I'll be sending you pages soon. All right.
That's what I like.
That's great.
You know what? That's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, I like how we both cheesily did the thumbs up at the same time. We're like,
It's better than that high five that we missed earlier.
did we miss a high five?
Oh, I did that to Keith too, because Keith Knight comes around, he shows me on his phone the Hulu announcement, and I'm like, yes! And I don't think he realized that
You were going to
I
high
was
five?
capable of a high five, and he kind of like ignored it, and then realized after my hand was down, then his hand went up, then my hand went back up, and I just kind of like swatted at his elbow. It was the worst. But listen, the main thing is we want to say thank you to you, because if you're watching this, you're a Patreon backer,
Yeah.
and if there's one point that's been hammered home to us, either overtly or it just is, like it came on like sun streaming down from the sky, is that we're.
What did I do?
You sighed.
I
I said
no,
sun streaming down
no,
from the
you're
sky.
doing-
and
you're doing
You
wonderful.
took a deep sigh.
I'm tired and I'm drinking wine. What do you want from me?
I
I'm a
thought
human man.
that I was
My
building
body
up
is
to
tired.
something.
What do you want?
One thing that I.
We cannot all be Olivia
I was
Adonis
really
like
gonna be
you,
sincere.
just strong all the time. Some of us need to exhale. I'm waiting to exhale, Brad.
I thought you had gotten your groove back long before that, but you know, in all honesty, even though one of us can't be serious, thank you for being a Patreon backer.
Yeah,
honest to
it's
goodness.
legit. It's so fun.
And no matter what you know, what level you're at, and whether you've been a Patreon backer for a long time or whether you're just getting here, and if you're going to be able to stay with us for a long time, or this is just like a month and you're going to check out.
Even
no
that's
matter,
cool.
And by the way, no one expects Patreon backing to go on forever. Everyone's got a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah, no, I think that's
we
true.
know that's true of you guys.
I do. I hope for it. I pray every day. Dear Lord, let all my Patreon backers stay forever.
Oh, you know what?
Dear Lord, let me take Brad's Patreon backers as my own.
We do need to talk about that, because I get, every now and again, I'll get a note in those exit interviews where the person says, I'm really sorry, Brad. I'm very sorry. I have to cancel my pledge. I lost my job today.
Yeah,
and
I always feel like,
I want to
do
send
not
the guy
apologize.
an email and say, you never have to
I
apologize
almost, like,
to me.
whenever I get that email, I'm always like, let me send you your money back.
Yeah.
This is terrible. What? No, of course, stop doing Patreon when you lost your job. Yeah, if you can't accept that those human moments are going to happen, then anyway.
But the bottom line is, thank you for being a Patreon backer, and that's the whole reason. Dave could have gone to bed, you know, hours ago, but he doesn't. You know why? Because he wanted to say how much he appreciated you.
I want you to notice the last comment part of my swipe up here. It says, Dave, why are you making an old man like Brad stand for an hour, Dave? Because it helps his plantar fasciitis to stay standing.
You notice that I've been going back and forth?
It's the only way to get his kidneys to drain.
Speaking of which, you should tell it. This is your standing desk.
Oh, this is my
Has
standing
people
desk.
seen your standing desk?
No, I don't know. Well,
That's
I don't
a
know.
standing desk. He stands at this desk. Boy, that's we got to end the show on a bigger note than that. Standing desk. Good night, everybody.
Well, on that note, genuine thanks to everyone. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for tuning in. I think this will stay on the Patreon page, right?
Yep.
So we'll get to regret this immediately tomorrow morning upon waking up and having more water than wine.
Yeah.
But we'd like to do this again. And I think it might be a fun Patreon goal to somehow get us together. I don't know how we would do that, but this has been fun.
We could build in like a flight to the coast for one of us, and probably going to be easier for me to come out here because you've got all the stuff. And we'd build it in and say, you know, at this milestone, Brad will fly out to Los Angeles.
And we'll record like 6 podcasts right in a row, and we'll do a video podcast or 2, and maybe a live stream like this.
Yeah.
Why did I do a live stream like this? We'll do a live stream like
this.
this.
Is fun.
This is fun. It's fun to answer questions.
Yeah.
And had we had advance notice, there would have been a ton of people joining us, I'm sure. But anyway, thank you. The short version is thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Have a wonderful night, everybody. And I believe Orson Welles said it best with, "No, the French."